Good afternoon, everyone. Gabe Velazquez here with you, transparenttrading-solutions.com. I am back. This is a pre-recorded session. I'm going to go over some charts with you this afternoon. This is Friday, the 14th of July. We had a bull run is underway here. Again, I'm going to do a if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, hit the subscribe button. Put some commentary once I start going through the charts here. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. I'm gonna start doing these without any kind of live. So let's get right into the charts. Let's talk about the markets. We know we've had a pretty nice rally beginning from in the S&P, all the equity markets, because of the lower than expected inflation numbers, and that is causing rates to come down. Bonds had a rally, dollar tanked, S&P right up against some levels. So let's go ahead and let me share my screen with everybody and get right into the charts. Everybody should be able to see the charts now. Okay. All right. So let's start with the with the S&P. The S&P has had obviously a pretty nice run. Looking at some of these levels, we in fact hit this level down here, 44.13 in the S&P before taking off. Obviously, if anybody knew where the inflation numbers were going to be, that's actually what kicked off the whole rally. So continually, we've been going sideways up, sideways up, sideways up. So now we should at least get a pause. And looking at the longer term chart, if we look at a chart out to a weekly chart, really nothing on the charts that we can see until we get up to 4,600 really. And these are not even great levels. The better levels are up much higher on the S&P. So, and again, the market's not going to go straight up. We are overdue for some type of correction. When that happens, obviously, is going to be, who knows when that's going to happen. So probably too late to chase, but on one hand, but too early to short. If you've been trying to short this market, obviously it hasn't been working. So no matter how great the levels are, you may get some pauses or whatever. So in this instance, what I'm looking to do with my members here is probably look to see if we can get actually some new levels forming on the, maybe a sell-off, something similar to maybe what happened here, where we got, last Thursday, we got a little scare with the ADP numbers, and then had that rally back up there and then sold off. So that's kind of what you probably need to see if you're going to short this market on a pullback. Obviously, there's a lot of great levels to look for below current price. There's this level here. There's some, gaps to fill. This is obviously, if the correction is going to be pretty sizable, we probably should come all the way down and fill this gap down below here. But there's some smaller time frame levels right along this area here. NASDAQ also turned, is obviously been rallying really hard, and we are up against some levels as well, but very similar. Just trying to come off a little bit off of that high here on the weeklies. So we kind of did pull back a little bit off that right up here. Nothing dramatic yet. So we'll see if that actually next week. We got a whole slew of earnings. We kicked off the earnings season today with JPM and so forth. So we'll see what that brings next week. Interestingly, the Dow is kind of lagging. Big range in the Dow, 35K to 34K. Very interesting. You can see that on the weekly chart, also on the daily chart. Pretty distinct range. And obviously, those worked out pretty nicely. And then, below that, and then up here, we really don't have anything to short against as well. So all in all, this has actually been a laggard, and we'll see if we actually finally break out in the Dow about 35K. that would be the area. Also interesting today, we had the small caps pull back. Still looking at some pullbacks in the small caps. Nothing really dramatic on the upside here. These have been way lagging as well. There's a lot of catch up to do on these things. I mean, we've got levels way the heck out here. So we'll see if, again, we break out above this 2037 level as well on that. Bonds, big rally off of some major levels. You can see there, 122 on the 30-year had a really nice pop. We're going to run into some resistance at 128. 10-year similarly, really nice pop off of these levels here, the 110. We are going to run again similarly 114. You can see the symmetry there. The 10-year yield also kind of mimicking the 10-year as well there. 5-year also. So all of these bonds, other than the 2-year, which broke a new low, has some room to the upside here. If rates are actually peaking, we should see some rallies here in the bond market. Dollar, as we know, because the rates collapsed, huge bond rally correlation. I've talked to you guys about this before. The correlation between the yields and the dollar is very, very strong. So as yields collapse, you can actually see that here on this chart there. You can see how yields came down really, really hard, as you know, which means that bond rally, the bonds really picked up here after the soft inflation numbers. So these are yields coming down, and you can kind of almost see the correlation between the dollar yields coming down and the dollar just getting blasted there. See that? So that in turn obviously created a huge rally in some of the currencies. We are coming into some really key levels on a lot of these currencies. Japanese yen also had a big breakout move there. Swissy been by the way, these are like multi-year highs on the Swissy. If you look at the weekly chart of the Swiss franc, there really isn't a whole lot up above that. You've got to go out to the monthlies on this thing to really find any kind of levels. So that's interesting there. The COM dolls kind of lagging. Obviously, all of the currencies move higher as the dollar tanks. However, to the degree that like the Swiss, you saw that it's a multi-year lows. The Australia, New Zealand, these are not even close to the yearly highs. As you can see, like the euro's at a yearly high, the Swissy's at a year high. So interesting. And then New Zealand had an interest rate announcement today. I'm sorry, not today, but on Tuesday. And that also did nothing after the release, but then it obviously gained some traction with the dollar falling off. Canada came off a really nice level here, that 76.50. It's worked for about 2-3x to 1. We've got some levels below here, but generally, again, kind of just range trading. If you miss one of these trades, obviously, nothing left to do. Also, peso is on track now to come up to these weekly levels. I think I've been talking about this. So the peso is really on a tear right now, and nothing really until you get up to the 60 area on the peso. So we're on track for that possibly. The metals market, interesting. We had a nice little move on. Gold, but still largely just range trading. The movement, if you take all the metals, silver is the one that actually moved the most right here. You see that move in silver? That was broke out above here. In fact, we stopped out of a trade in silver, and now we're back up into all of this here. And on the longer term chart on silver, you can see we're also coming up to some really key areas up top here in silver. Copper's also starting to perk up a little bit. but nothing, just lots of chop in there. Oil also just meandering, very unusual for oil, I have to tell you. So you can see here, oil 75 kind of pulls back and just been meandering all the way through this. So oil has been gradually moving higher. Trajectory clearly is higher in the near term, but it's been moving in a kind of a sawtooth, just very choppy, clear kind of channeling action here. Just no traction. Been trying to get long on some pullbacks, but even here it's been kind of a challenge to get on board this thing as it's been kind of just choppy trading all the way through. So we'll see if this changes probably next week. This market never stays still. It was in a pretty good range here from 67 to 75. Looked like it was going to break out and then again fell right back in. So a lot of the same kind of dynamic here. Similarly with nat gas, you can see just chop, pretty defined range, 250 to like 280 if you're going to trade nat gas futures. And then the grains, we did have a grain report, and you can see also very choppy range trading across all the grain markets. As the summer rolls on here and we get into the hot weather and into the fall, should get a bunch more movement in some of the grain markets, corn, wheat, and so forth. Last thing, VIX hitting 13. Last time we hit that, we did have about a 100-point pullback in the S&P, by the way. I've been watching this to see if we can come all the way back down again and maybe even break that low. Market does look a bit tired, but that doesn't mean it won't stop going up. It may just pause for a little bit. That's been the pattern for the last several months. Still, a lot of bullish sentiment is starting to creep up. So there will come a point where under the hood, there's a bunch of stuff going on. Still largely driven by NASDAQ, but banks aren't participating. You can just go through a whole list of stocks. Retailers are kind of on the mat, so it's still kind of a mixed bag and largely just driven by the usual suspects, the Magnificent Seven and all that. So it's going to be interesting next week. We have a slew of earnings next week. As you guys know, we have more banks. We got Tesla and Netflix on Wednesday. So those are going to be the kind of the marquee, if you will, the notables for those stocks as well, for the market. Those two are obviously big stocks, very well known stocks. So we'll see how that goes. That's on Wednesday. I'll do another video on Tuesday. I'll start doing these on Tuesday. I am going to start another options class. If you have an interest in that, you can hit the link below if you want to subscribe to the newsletter. And now that I'm doing some visuals, maybe you're more interested in putting some comments on the bottom there. Okay. All right, everybody, have a great weekend, and I will see you. I'll post another video on Tuesday. You'll get the notification. So subscribe to the channel, and you'll get the notifications when we post the video. Okay, take care.